Unfortunately, it's time. We are going to tackle this closet that I have been putting off and putting off and putting off and putting off. Every time I do a big declutter, I think to myself, I cannot possibly have another big project like this again, and yet here we are with another big declutter project. When you have kids, the fun truly never ends. So today we're tackling my son's closet. This is something I've done multiple times. We've tried to organize it a few different ways, but as time goes on, our needs change and spaces need to be revisited. The first half of today's video is going to be a huge declutter project, and once we're all done with that, we will actually skip to a different day to do some cleaning motivation. So whatever you come to my channel for, whether it's cleaning or decluttering, I have you covered in this week's video, but let's just go ahead and get started. Unfortunately, it's time. We are going to tackle this closet that I have been putting off and putting off and putting off and putting off. I'll just give you a little look at what we've got going on. It is so bad in this closet. So here goes nothing. Let's talk a little about the history of this closet. When we moved into our home in 2021, our oldest was 4, now he is 7. His interests have, of course, changed drastically over the years. The first time that I organized this space, I put in these IKEA drawers and the over-the-door organizer for the purpose of storing toys. As his interest in toys was less and less, we organized it again, but this time for sports cards. But then one day I came to the realization that there are no rules about what can be stored in a closet versus a dresser, and it has become glaringly obvious that my son does not like his cards in the drawers in his closet. He prefers them in binders, and it just has not functioned the way that I wanted it to. And on top of that, I am so tired of folding laundry. I want to be able to hang as much clothes as possible, so that's what sparked this idea where I would transfer all of his clothing over to his closet and transfer all of the items from his closet to his dresser. And of course, we're also going to declutter along the way, and I will end up with 2 trash bags full of stuff to get rid of. I think my cat wants me to fill their water dish because he won't stop meowing at me, but I'll do that in a second. So I wanted to show you guys what the sides of his closet look like right now. Just so much stuff, and obviously we can't get to it because of where it is, so I'm gonna pull these drawers out and remove everything. It always has to get worse before it gets better when you're doing a project like this, but I find myself getting so overwhelmed by the mess around me. Even just the thought of the mess before I've started can be enough to make me not want to do it at all. So if you're like me and you have that mindset, just know that it is worth it, and the end result is totally worth the temporary stress. You'll see once we get this closet entirely cleared out, but there was barely any room to even move in here by the time I had it emptied out. It always amazes me how much stuff we can squeeze into one tiny space when we try hard enough. Carson is a collector at heart. He always has been, and this space is certainly proof of that. I have talked about this in a few of my declutter videos, but I feel it's important to mention again as I'm working on someone else's space. This is Carson's room. It's his space to do what he wants to with. I can control the rest of the house. I can control the basement clutter and the kitchen clutter and bathroom and so on and so forth. But I never want my kids to feel like this is my home and not their home. They live here too. I want their rooms to be their safe spaces. So even though I don't value the items in his room, or I don't value all of the items in his room, they're clutter to me. They're not clutter to him. So for example, the sports card collection, I look at it and I think it's completely out of hand. It's not my favorite hobby he's ever picked up on. However, these things are valuable to him and important to him. So it's not my job to dictate what he's allowed to keep in his room. I just need to make sure I'm supporting him and keeping things as tidy and organized as they can be, and teaching him the importance of maintaining our space. You may run into this issue where the people in your home are not as gung-ho to declutter as you are, and in the past that may have prevented me from even wanting to try to declutter our home. Almost like, what is the point if everyone else is not on the same page? But it is still a journey worth going on, and just remember to control what you can and learn to let go of the things that you can't. As we approach the holiday season, everyone is thinking about gifts. I don't know about you, but I'm not trying to give candles or body wash gift sets. I want to think of things that are unique, and I also try to think of things that I would like to receive myself in order to assess whether or not someone else would appreciate it. I was sitting down working on my laptop recently and I was shivering. You know that feeling when even like the tip of your nose feels cold and your hands are like ice? Instead of turning up the heat and barreling through our oil, I will turn on a space heater, and it got me thinking about how a space heater is the perfect gift this holiday season for an office space, for the living room, or even to move from room to room as needed. I'm a big fan of a space heater, and I'm excited to share with you all today a couple of gift ideas from Drio, including their Solaris 718 space heater. Did you know that Drio is actually the top fan and heater brand in the US? This aesthetically pleasing and powerful space heater is one of the heaters in their latest lineup. It was super easy to set up, and it heats up pretty much instantly with 2-second heating. It also has an oscillating feature to ensure that you're feeling the warmth from wherever you are. And maybe most importantly, as someone with little kids, it comes with 8 times multi-layers protection. It is flame retardant, it has overheat protection, tip over protection, and has a child lock as well. And if you're concerned about electricity use, you can use eco mode, which helps you achieve 50% energy savings. Our home is heated with oil, which tends to be very expensive in the dead of winter. So when I have a chill here and there, it's so nice to just whip out a space heater and take the edge off. I just wanted to demonstrate for you guys how quiet this is. This is on the highest setting right now, and you can barely hear it. And then this is the lowest setting. A couple of other things from Drio that would make wonderful gifts. First, we have their Barista Maker milk frother. This thing works like a dream. This is one of those things I had no idea I needed until I had it. You can use it to make cold foam for your coffee. It works with any type of milk, from regular milk to coconut to full cream or half and half. You can use it to make Instagram-worthy latte art, but you can also use it to stir drinks like protein powder or chocolate milk or matchas. It comes with 2 different tips depending on what you're making with it. And my goodness, just look at how thick and wonderful this cold foam came out. I think if you have a coffee lover in your life, or if you're a coffee lover, this is such a good gift. And finally, we have their humidifier. Anyone with little kids will tell you this is an essential. We desperately needed a new one of these, actually. I whipped it out the first night it came and I set it up in my bedroom. As the weather gets colder, the air gets drier. I have been waking up with a super sore throat every morning from the dry air. So I was curious if this humidifier would prevent that, and it sure did. I was so happy. And this one is really cool because you can actually fully control it from the Drio app. So you don't even have to get up and mess with it to get your settings right. Plus it has color indicators to help you easily identify the humidity in your space at just a glance. Again, this would make such a great gift if you know someone who's pregnant or has little kids, but honestly anyone could use a humidifier. I will have all of these products, the space heater and the milk frother and the humidifier, linked in my description box down below for you to shop. And I just want to say thank you to Drio for sponsoring this week's video. So the next step in this process was to start emptying out the dresser drawers. Whenever I am doing a declutter, I find it the easiest to start putting things back, and whatever I'm left off with at the end is usually the things that don't really matter, that we can get rid of, that just don't have a place in our home. So that's kind of what I was doing in Carson's room. I wanted to get all of his clothes out of his dresser and hung up in his closet so that I could start putting back the things that I knew we were keeping, like all of his binders of sports cards. They took up 3 whole drawers in his dresser. And that is a lot. I will be the first to admit that that is a lot. And I think you guys all know how I feel about this hobby. But again, just because something is not important to me and not valuable to me doesn't mean that it isn't to somebody else. And honestly, there's a lot worse things that he could be into than sports cards. I personally would so much rather that he's collecting sports cards and maybe looking up to some sports figures for like a role model type figure and everything else than having him be like looking at screens all the time and playing games and whatever else all the time. So you got to pick and choose your battles. And I think this one is pretty good. Plus it's something that my husband likes to do with him. So my husband as a child, he was an avid sports card collector as well. I'm reminded of that by his mom all the time, who tells me that she has like bins and bins and bins still at her house full of his sports cards from his childhood that I want nothing to do with. I don't want those bins here. But Anyway, he really loved that stuff as a kid as well, so he's kind of picked back up on that hobby a little bit, and him and Carson enjoy going to sports card shows and going to the sports card store and doing all of those things together. So it's something they can do together, and that's really nice. As I was going through all of Carson's drawers full of his clothes, I was also making sure that there was nothing in there that didn't fit him anymore. And I did declutter quite a bit of his clothes. I feel like I just did this, where I went through all of his clothing and got rid of stuff that doesn't fit him. But man, this kid grows so fast. It's insane. He just got a couple new pairs of jeans for this school year, and I was going through all of his jeans from last year. When he puts those on, they're like at least 2 inches too short on him. They're like capris at this point. It's insane. I don't understand how this kid is growing so fast. It's mind-blowing. And yeah, I had a lot of clothes that I was able to declutter because he's just getting so big. But I didn't end up having enough hangers for all of his t-shirts, so some of them I just kind of folded up and put on the shelf underneath the stuff that I had hung up. But I am going to order some more hangers because, again, I want to be able to hang as much as possible. I really, really do not enjoy folding laundry, and being able to hang it just takes so much less time. I was thinking about this the other day, but when we used to live in our old house, like a couple years ago, we had a really big walk-in closet, and I really didn't use it. I always folded all of my clothes and I put them into my dresser. And the only things that I ever hung up was like my work clothes at the time. I felt like that was like dresses or work clothes or whatever. Those were the things that you're supposed to hang up. And I don't know why I had that mentality, but I really started to think about it. And I'm like, I think it's because growing up, we didn't have closets. So I just got so used to having dressers. In multiple of my bedrooms as a kid, I did not have a closet. I only had a dresser. So I just feel like that kind of carried over into my adult life. And then one day I had this like epiphany that I can hang up whatever I want. I can hang up my t-shirts. I can hang up pajamas if I want to. I could hang up my jeans if I want to. I don't need to spend all of my time folding my laundry, and I don't need to fold all of my kids' laundry either. I can hang that stuff up too. And ever since kind of coming to that realization, I just want to hang up everything. I don't ever want to use another dresser again. This made me so sad to do, but I had made this little collage of pictures back when we lived in our apartment, and I think Carson was like 3 or something at the time, and he loved it. He helped me put it together, but we have just not used it since we moved in here, and it's just been sitting in his closet. And honestly, it's kind of a hazard because the pins stick through to the other side. So I was just afraid someone was going to get hurt, and it was just time to take this down. At this point, Sutton was home with me, and it's much harder for me to do this stuff when I have a 2-year-old around who wants to get into everything and who wants to touch all of his brother's stuff that he found in his room, but we're going to get it done anyway. No excuses. I really wanted to finish up this project before I grabbed Carson from school. As much as I want him to be involved in these processes, sometimes it's just easier to do it just mom and not have your child telling you, no, I need that, even though they haven't touched it in like 4 years. So I just needed to do a really good go through of everything in his closet without him trying to get me to keep stuff that I know he'll never touch again and that we truly don't need. I just know him, and I know he could find a reason to keep just about anything, even if he never uses it and will never touch it. But I'm very happy to say that he has not asked about a single thing that I got rid of on this day since doing this declutter. So it definitely made the right call by not involving him in this process this time. I always like to share some decluttering tips while I'm doing these projects and hope that something I say resonates with whoever it is out there who needs to hear it. And one tip I have today that I've recently started thinking more and more about and wanting to work harder to implement in my own home is setting limits. So think about how much storage you have for something, where that item is intended to go, and refuse to allow yourself to collect more than what will fit in that spot. So for example, I have a set of 4 drawers in like a small acrylic organizer in my bathroom. That is where I store my makeup. I do not buy more than what will fit into that acrylic organizer. And if I am wanting to put something else in there, I have to get rid of something in order to make the new item fit. I also try to do this when it comes to my clothing as well by following that like one in, one out method. Every time I bring in something new, I have to get rid of something old. I have found this very helpful to stay on top of my own personal clutter in my home. However, I think it's something I need to be much more intentional about when it comes to my kids' things as well. And I'd love to be able to teach them that mentality so that hopefully they don't grow up with the same kind of mindset I did before I started decluttering our home. Here are some after shots of his closet. I am really hopeful that this time this will stick and work better for us. I think so far Carson has had a much easier time finding his things, and he has liked storing things in his dresser drawers instead. And now here is everything that we are getting rid of. Some of this is to donate, some is trash. I usually sift through all of it after and decide which is which off camera, but for the sake of showing you how much we're getting rid of, I'll throw all this into trash bags. This ended up being 2 trash bags worth of decluttering. Like I said at the beginning of the video, every time I do one of these declutters, I tell myself that's the last one, that I've finally done it and my house is clutter free, but somehow I always find more to do. That is mostly to do with the fact that I have 2 little kids. They're always going to be bringing stuff into the home, and that's why it's important to have realistic expectations surrounding the clutter in your home when you are a parent. I don't expect my house to ever be perfect. I don't expect my kids to never want new things or never be gifted new things. It's just life, and the best thing I can do is continue to reevaluate, reorganize, and just do my best to teach them about the importance of giving away the things that we don't need anymore. And that is where I leave you with the decluttering portion of today's video. So if you came here just for the decluttering, now we are going to switch over to some cleaning motivation. So let's get started on that. Today we are going to be doing a little bit of a reset of my house. My house is actually not that bad, to be honest. Since I took down my Halloween decorations, I feel like I've been able to keep on top of my house a lot better. It's felt a lot less cluttered. So it's actually not that bad, but I do want to reset the house. I feel like the floors are quite dirty, so I definitely want to make sure that I clean those. I am staring at a pile of laundry that I need to fold right now, right in front of me on my counter, so we're going to deal with that as well. It is a very windy and cold day here today. I don't like to turn my heat above like 68 just because we run on oil, and oil is quite expensive. We are not turning up the heat any more than we absolutely have to, but I'm cold, so I'm going to unbox. I actually just got my new Drio space heater in, so I'm gonna unbox that and get that set up so that can be running while I'm cleaning and hopefully warm me up a little bit. But let's go ahead and get started on cleaning up my kitchen first. You guys already saw this, but for the sake of showing you like the true timeline of what I did when I was cleaning up, the next thing I did was set up my Drio space heater to warm up the space I was working in. We have a new angle unlocked here. I feel like whenever I'm doing my dishes on camera, I always have the camera like next to me, just pointed at the sink. But I decided today that I wanted to place it behind me and do kind of like an overhead angle. So if you guys like this, let me know. I'm always trying to do like different camera angles to keep things interesting. Maybe you guys don't care at all, but these are just the things that I think about when I'm filming. I wanted to show you guys up close how gross this is, this little sink rack. So what I'm going to, also this is pretty yucky too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in a dishwasher pod, and I'm just going to fill up the sink with hot water and let it sit for a while, and that will really like eat away at all the grime. And then once that's done, I can scrub it clean. While we are letting that sink rack kind of just soak in the sink with the dishwasher pod, I'm going to go ahead and fold this load of laundry. This was Sutton's laundry. I feel like I'm doing his constantly right now. We have been so busy now that he's in preschool and he's also taking swim lessons. And so I just feel like he's always changing his outfit, and we end up with so many dirty outfits every single day. We're just going through clothes like crazy. So anyway, I wanted to get this folded and get this off of my kitchen counters. I do have a tendency to procrastinate on putting away my kids' laundry and my own laundry as well, but I found that something that helps me is to put the laundry on my kitchen counter, because I obviously can't stand having it there, and that will motivate me to go ahead and get it done. Something else that I do, or I have done in the past to help me motivate myself to get this done, is to time myself. And once I realized how quick this chore actually is, I just realized how ridiculous it is for me to keep putting it off when it would literally take me like 5 to 10 minutes. Plus, when I have a timer running, I feel like I'm more likely to finish the chore extra quick, because it's almost like I'm racing against the clock. It becomes like a challenge to me. So really, a lot of things in our daily life, it's just a mind game, and it's all about mindset. And this is just an example of how you can kind of get into the right mindset to get these silly little mundane things done. If you are like me and you despise folding things, this is one of the ways I kind of created a closet in one of my kids' rooms. So I have a rod, like a tension rod, hanging next to this little dresser type storage unit in Sutton's room, and I use that to hang all of his clothes, and this works really well. So if you have a space like this available in your home, I would recommend you just hang up a tension rod and start hanging your clothes instead of spending all your time folding them. But anyway, we're back in the kitchen now, and I'm just going to wipe down all of these chairs. We desperately need new bar stools. My cats have completely destroyed these ones. My cats will just like sit on them, and then they'll biscuit and claw at them, or knead, whatever you want to call it. And there's just so many rips all over them. But we are in the process of looking for a new home, so I don't want to buy new ones right now because I don't know what I'm going to end up wanting for our new space, so I'm kind of just dealing with them, even though they've definitely seen better days. Now I'm just doing my kind of weekly declutter of all of the paper clutter that builds up on our countertops. I said this in a recent video, but I've kind of just come to terms with the fact that this is a weekly chore for me. I do always go through our mail as soon as we get it, and I try to get rid of stuff from that, shred things, whatever. But when it comes to my kids' art and paperwork and stuff they bring home from school, it's just going to sit on a pile in my counter for a week, and it just is what it is. I've pretty much accepted it at this point, but it was that day, it was time for me to go through it and sort everything so I can file away anything I want to keep, get rid of anything that needs to be gotten rid of, and have a fresh start for the next pile of papers that are going to collect on my countertop. It was time to take out this sink rack and start cleaning it off, and oh my goodness, this thing was so grimy. I feel like it doesn't look that bad here, but as soon as I turn it over, you'll see what I'm talking about. And I'm not a huge fan of this because it just gets so disgusting, and I feel like it's one more thing in my home that I need to manage and I need to deal with and make sure that it stays clean and all of that, and it's just a pain in the butt. But it does protect the sink from getting all scratched up and disgusting, so it's worth it to have it, but it's definitely just a huge pain for me. But it is what it is. I guess it's a necessary evil. This looks so much better. It's crazy. It pretty much looks brand new, so I'm really glad that I got this done. I believe that the next video I film is going to be my Christmas clean and decorate video. I usually post one every year, and truthfully, those videos never ever do well. This year, I've really spent a lot of time planning my decor and brainstorming what I'd like my home to look like. I always like to keep my decor minimal simply because an abundance of decor creates visual clutter for me, and I end up feeling really almost claustrophobic in my own home and stressed out. But all that being said, I'm excited to decorate. I'm excited to share that video. I did grab a couple new decor pieces this year. I would absolutely love it if you came back to check out that video whenever it does go up. Turn on your post notifications, maybe follow me on Instagram if you don't already. I always share a link on my stories when a new video goes up. I don't expect the video to do well, but any support on it would be so appreciated. I love sharing my decluttering, but YouTube has certainly boxed me into that category, and if I post anything else, the algorithm will not push out my video to everyone. It's frustrating because I want to be able to create whatever content I want to create, but at the end of the day, this is my job and I have to create the content that performs the best. Anyway, my point is any support on that video when it goes live would be appreciated more than you know. I think it's going to be a good one and I'm excited to let my creative juices flow and do something new. Maybe I'll even include a little giveaway in it, so definitely stay tuned. You guys know I have robot vacuums, I have wet dry vacuums, but at the end of the day, I am a steam mop girl at heart. I love my steam mop. I love that it sanitizes my floor with the hot steam and it melts anything dried on right off with very little effort. So we're steam mopping the floors today. I don't do this super often. On a daily basis, I will run one of my robots or I'll use my wet dry, but about once a month, I have to go around with my steam mop because I just think it does such a good job. This is something that you would never see from afar. You'd have to get really close up, but my cabinets were so grimy. The camera doesn't even really pick up all of it to properly show you, but I have a 2-year-old who typically has like pretty sticky little fingers and no limits to the mess he can create with them. So I went around with a cloth and wiped down as many grimy little spots as I could find on my cabinets. Okay, we are all done with today's video. Once we finish this up, I'm so glad you chose to take some time out of your day to hang out with me. You could be doing anything, but you chose to watch my video, and that makes my heart really happy. So thank you for that. Don't forget to check out Drio for yourself, maybe a gift for someone else. They have so many good things beyond what I've shared in this video. I will have a link in my description box down below to everything I talked about today. If you're new to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe and come back every week for a new video. But that's all I've got for you today, so hopefully I will see you back here next week.